Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Chris Punsalan, and before we get into how I make sample packs, let's start with this. So producers have been taking bits and pieces of other songs, aka sampling, since hip hop pretty much started. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Frank Dukes was one of the first producers to create original compositions with the intention of having another producer sample that and flip it into something entirely new. Now in 2019, there are tons of different distribution sites that sell sample packs that contain loops, one-shots, drums, etc. And just to be clear, there are no right or wrong ways to go about making sample packs. There's a ton of different methods, but this is just how I like to approach it. Now, I usually like to build my compositions around a drum loop because it's just easier for me to find a groove that way. Then when I'm finished with the sample, I can mute the drum loop and export it. But before we get into any of the post work, let's make some samples. Okay, now that we have the samples, I'm gonna listen to them, mix them, and then I'm gonna show you how I export and organize all of the folders. Okay, so I'm gonna export the sample by creating a new folder from my WAV files. Then I'm gonna label the sample with the name, BPM, and the key of the song. This makes it so much easier for producers to manipulate the sample because they already know what the key of the sample is and what the BPM is. Then they can just go straight to manipulating samples. Then for all of my sample packs, I like to include the stem files, which are the individual tracks that make up the sample. This makes it so much easier for producers to mix the sample with the beat, and it gives them more freedom to move different layers around, take layers out, add certain layers for certain parts, and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna export the stems, make a new folder, and export. All right, now that we have all the samples and stems exported, I'm gonna open a new project in Ableton and throw all of the samples in there just to double check that everything is labeled correctly and that all of them sound the way I want them to. Cool, now that the pack is complete, I'm gonna make some artwork for it. Now, I usually like to make all of my artwork on Photoshop, but if you're not familiar with Photoshop, or if you just don't feel like making the artwork yourself, you can go to sites like Fiverr.com to hire people to make the artwork for you. All right, now I'm gonna zip up the file and upload it to the service I use, which is sendowl.com. This is a company that distributes my sample pack every time someone purchases it. And this is just so I don't have to manually send out the sample pack every time someone buys it, which I made that mistake in the beginning and it was a nightmare. Every time someone purchases it.
What?
Now that it's uploaded, I'm gonna go to shopify.com, which is the website that I use for my website, and I'm gonna upload the pack. Before I make the sample pack live, I like to make a preview of the pack by just making it in Ableton, and I'll throw that up on the website just so customers can get a feel for what's gonna be in the pack and know exactly what they're getting into. Now it's time to test the product, sample it myself and see what I can come up with. Then I'll promote it on all social media platforms, and I usually like to make a YouTube video that surrounds, I guess, the making and the pack itself, kind of like this one. And that is usually how I like to make my sample packs. The one I made in this video is called Burner. It's available on my website for just $1. It comes with 4 original samples and 4 original drum loops. All of the stems for the samples and drum loops are of course included in the pack, so please head to my website if you'd like to check it out and purchase it, chrispunsalan.com, or you can click the link in the description. And really quick, I want to get into the top 3 reasons why I continue to make sample packs. Reason number 1, I don't know the exact percentage, but if I were to guess, I would say that about 95% of my audience are producers. So it would only make sense business-wise to create a product that caters to my audience. Sample packs are my highest source of income at the moment, so that's why I continue to create them, and it's just the easiest way for me to provide value to other producers, which brings me to my next reason. Reason number 2. Making samples and sample packs allows me to provide value to other producers. It also helps me bring something to the table. If I was gonna collaborate with another producer in the studio or over the internet, I could provide that producer with a pack of samples that I've made as a starting point, then we can go from there. And plus, if the producer and I use a sample that I've made, that means we wouldn't have to deal with the hassle of sample clearing, and it just makes our lives so much easier. And reason number 3, they're just fun to make. It's really fun to sit down, create an original composition, and then go ahead and flip it into something entirely new, knowing that I made everything literally from scratch and the final product doesn't sound anything like the sample. So later on in the future, I can take that sample and even flip it into a different way, or maybe even just use that original composition as a beat of its own, and I can give it to an artist. There's just so many different ways I can approach the production process if I create my own sample library. So yeah. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up. It does help out the channel a ton, so I'd really appreciate if you took some time just to give this video a thumbs up. If you have any questions about anything, please leave them down in the comments below. I do try my best to respond to every single comment. And yeah, thank you guys for the support. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace. So the one thing that I would like to say about that is that the sound is going to be loud, but you can't ever stop it.